So where is it written that all these giant companies that exist currently, in their current incarnations, have to be the ones that continue to exist to bring manufacturing back to the U.S.? Where is that written? Because most of those are controlled by island people. So, yeah, we can do manufacturing. And the thing is, there's this idea that, oh, we can't bring it back fast enough. You realize that the know-how that we have now as a civilization, I'm talking to the Western world, the know-how we have, not necessarily technology, the know-how, okay? Which is actually, in my opinion, that's actually more important than the actual technology, because with the know-how, you can get the technology. The technology, you may not necessarily be able to get the know-how, okay? The inverse is not always true. So, because that's part of the competency crisis and so on, go to my page, it's pinned to the top. Like, it's all part of the same thing. So, why do these companies that have been abusing Americans for all this time, that have been sending everything overseas because they want cheap labor, they want to use cheap slaves in other countries, why should all those companies get to stay in business? Why should they be rewarded with being able to come back? Let me really bake your noodle on that one. Why should they be rewarded with allowed to come back? I don't know that I would be in too big a hurry to let all of them come back. Like, well, but then we won't have iPhones and what have you. No, you may have a better phone. You may have a better product. Because there are other companies out there that can produce this stuff and produce it really well too. You know, but maybe encrypted with better privacy. I mean, do you really think that, like, think of it like that? You always have to ask yourself, instead of what, right? Like, you have to think about it like that. Okay, you have this is your alternative. Stop and ask yourself, instead of what, right? So are there other Americans that have the know-how to produce better products at better prices? Absolutely. Not in dollars. Dollars are counterfeit. Dollars are fake. Dollars have no mathematical or intrinsic value to them at all. They're company store bucks. So they don't really have any actual value in the real world. They have it in corporate land, right? I used the example a long time ago of Disney bucks. That's the dollar. It's basically Disney bucks. It's good at their locations that are all owned by the same, the usual suspects. But in the real world, like, you need to, like, we need to have something else that has either intrinsic or mathematical value to it. Preferably mathematical value. But that's just my opinion. But either or, I'll take it. So, that said, why should these companies be rewarded with being able to come back? Why shouldn't they say, no, you're not allowed to come back? Or if you want to come back, you come back at your own expense. Otherwise, we're going to deregulate everything as quickly as possible and let other people compete, and just compete you completely out of the country. Yeah, I have yet to hear the Orange Man say that. I know there's a whole bunch of people out there, the MAGA people, that you guys love my financial analysis and you love my business analysis, but that comes at a cost. See, I'm in the real fucking world out here. I actually deal with this stuff every goddamn day. Somebody asked me, like, well, how come you don't start factories and everything? As soon as the dollar goes away, I'll start as many factories as I can actually take care of. Responsibly and competently. There's all kinds of stuff that I would build all kinds of shit. There's all kinds. You think I don't have the experience to do that? Not only that, do you think I don't have the talent to notice talent? I know talent when I see it. And there's a lot of people I've run into. Doesn't make any difference what race, religion, color, doesn't make any difference. I've run into a lot of very talented people in my lifetime, and they're wasting their talents in most cases. They're wasting. They're doing repetitive crap over and over. They're not innovating. They're not doing any of that stuff because they can't. They're not able to do that kind of stuff because the system doesn't allow it. The dollar system doesn't allow it. As soon as someone tries to come up with a really good idea, they have to go into, number one, a bunch of debt. That's a problem. If they got to go into a bunch of debt for a bunch of fake dollars to a bunch of people who are going to print it out of nothing, and then you owe them, you know what I'm saying? Like, then do you even own your company? No, not really, not in practice. So no, I don't think any of these companies, I don't think we should care. And I genuinely question, like, why do these companies have to stay in business? There's better stuff out there, and there's better know-how. And you know how you get better know-how? It's not a secret. You just pay more, right? I mean, people will leave other companies. You think the engineers You know, at Apple, for example, I'm not picking on Apple. I'm just using them as an example. Google, any of them. You think any of the engineers there wouldn't leave in a second if they were going to do better somewhere else and be treated better? It's not, dude, it's not in their DNA. They're not branded with the corporate brand. You know, if you cut them, the company colors don't run out, right? I mean, it's not how that works. So, yeah, I mean, of course they'd leave if they got a better deal, if they were being offered a better deal. And maybe just more freedom, you know, or maybe more freedom to actually just be who they are. Maybe that's all it takes. I'm not just talking about in the tech sector. I'm talking about anything. I mean, the automotive sector could be in just regular manufacturing for that matter. There are plenty of people out there with know-how that are highly competent, but they're expensive. And what do they usually want? Well, they usually want to participate in the economy. So, yeah, it's not a secret. If you want to get really good people to do stuff at your company, they got to be able to participate in the economy along with everybody else. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. They're certainly not going to bring their A game. Why would anybody, I just talked about this in another video. Why would anybody bring their A game and do 3 times the work as somebody standing next to him who's getting paid the same amount of money? Yeah, they wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'm like, no, I'm going to show up and give you my C material, and that's it. At best, that's what you're going to get. Because why would I bring my A game to a C game? So this is just something to think about. There are plenty of talented people out there, and there are plenty of talented people who can actually start and run and maintain very competent businesses, but not the way you're going about it. The dollar's got to go away first. The dollar, the single most worthless currency that has ever existed in the history of mankind, has to go away first. It has to go away first. There has never been a recorded case in all of history where a hard money has ever chased out a bad money. It's never happened.